Turning now to campaign 2018, and Democratic gubernatorial candidate Gwen Graham says the environment is one of her policy priorities. She says as governor, she would work to combat the effects of climate change and put Florida, quote, back on the path of conservation to protect our clean air and waters.
However, Gwen Graham is now facing some pretty tough questions over her family's connection to a multi-billion-dollar mega mall project on the edge of the Everglades in northwest Miami-Dade County. CBS4's Jim DeFede sat down with Graham in an exclusive interview. He asked her whether she thought the project was a good idea.
But first, he started the conversation with Graham talking about Lake Okeechobee and the green algae discharges and what she believes should be done about it.
What we're seeing regarding our environment and these horrible situations on the east and west coast of Florida with the green blue algae that's just putrid in the way that it smells. I mean, it's not only an environmental disaster, but it's also a health disaster because of the impact it has on Floridians and also wildlife.
And an economic disaster.
It's an economic disaster. We see dolphins dying. We see manatees dying. People whose health is being negatively impacted. We're seeing the economic impact where people are canceling.
So what's the cause of it?
Well, the cause is 20 years of one-party rule in Tallahassee where the Republicans have not been taking care of our environment, and particularly egregious in the last 8 years under Rick Scott. So we've got to be taking the steps that are going to prevent having this continuation every single season of this blue-green algae, which means dealing with the water flow through the Everglades. We have got to take water north to south in a large enough amount to be able to do the filtration that's going to be necessary to clean out the water so that we don't have to release this water north to east and west when it should be going from north to south. We've got to deal with septic tanks. We've got to use Florida Forever dollars to purchase the land south of Lake Okeechobee to make sure that we're doing what's right for the people of Florida.
But that doesn't get to the heart of the issue, which is the pollution in Lake O itself, because that's flowing down, down the Kissimmee and all the refuse that's coming down from Orlando south, including agriculture and including cattle farming and septic tanks.
That's why we have got to have enough water flowing from north to south to filtrate the water. And we've got to deal with the nitrate and the nutrient pollution that's being caused as well. And
how much is farming a factor in it, though?
Farming's a significant factor. But we also have to make sure that we're taking care of those who work in the agriculture industry south of Lake Okeechobee. And my commitment to those who have worked in the Everglades agricultural area is to take land that is currently being used for farming and swap it out for land in other places so they don't lose their jobs, or to provide training so that they have an opportunity to enter into a new type of job.
I want to get your opinion. I want to shift gears and get your opinion on another subject that's causing a lot of concern among environmentalists. The American Dream Mall that is going to be built in northwest Miami-Dade County. It's a mall that's going to end up, it's a $4 billion project. I mean, look at it. They're talking about 6 million square feet of entertainment and retail space, 30 million visitors a year, 70,000 vehicle trips. It's being put together by a group, 555, which also runs Mall of the Americas, and your family's company, the Graham Companies. And in addition to the 225 acres that's being developed for that mega mall, the largest mall in the United States, the Graham Companies also have 300 acres of land which they've gained approval for to develop around it. Is building a mega mall and that much development on the edge of the Everglades a good idea?
Jim, I'm so proud of my family's long history in South Florida and our commitment to public service. And that project has been something that's been through all of the proper channels and will continue, as we always have conducted business in South Florida, to go through all the proper channels.
But is it a good idea to build a mega mall on the edge of the Everglades?
Again, I think what's critical in this issue is that the proper channels have been followed, and I'm proud. I can't even begin to express how proud I am of my family's public service here in South Florida.
And I'm not doubting the public service of your family. Please do not get that. But I want to show you some of the reaction to this. This is from the Everglades Trust, the executive director. While we are fighting like the Dickens to ensure the survival of the Everglades and the source of drinking water for 8 million Floridians, mega developers and projects like these continue to put it all at risk. This is from Unite Here, the union. The American Dream Mall is bad for workers and our environment. Our economy doesn't need thousands more low-paying, low-wage, part-time jobs. We need more than traffic congestion. And this is from the Sierra Club, the conservation chair. This catastrophic proposal must be denied. We need responsible developments that are climate resilient and protect the limited natural resources we have left. It seems like the environmental community is dead set against this project. Whether it's legal to do it is one question, because it is inside the urban development boundary line. But what my question to you is it the right thing to be doing in that part of the county?
Again, what my family's commitment in public service in South Florida is without question unparalleled, and the proper channels have been followed in this project and will continue to be followed.
You will personally financially benefit from this project? I
have actually, long before I announced that I was running for governor, I put everything in the appropriate type of trust, so that not what Rick Scott did, which was a blind trust, but everything that I have is behind a wall, so that I will have no involvement in any of the projects that the Graham companies
do. But it's not a secret that this mega mall project, it's not as if you've set up a system where there's a wall and then the decisions that are being made on your behalf are completely isolated to you. You know this project is being built, and as governor, you would, if you were elected, the Florida Department of Transportation, the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, they all could end up playing roles in how this project progresses over the next few years. What would you do? Isn't that a conflict of interest?
What I would do if faced with a situation regarding anything that involves my family's company is have someone work with it to make sure that there is no conflict of interest. My ethics, my integrity, my transparency, that all that I do as governor will be unparalleled. We're going to bring back the type of transparency that the people of Florida should always have regarding any activity in the governor's office. And sadly, for the last 8 years, that has not been the case.
All right, now, after the interview, Gwen Graham's campaign sent us a statement, and it reads, quote, "If elected, Gwen will completely remove herself from the state's oversight of the project, requiring that all state decisions on the project be taken to the full cabinet, where Gwen will recuse herself from voting. This would be an unprecedented level of separation that stands in stark contrast with the conflicts Rick Scott has created," end quote.